How was your Thanksgiving weekend?
It was nice. Nice to get a break, great weather, all that good stuff. So
Nice. Yeah, it was gorgeous weather.
it
So,
was.
so let's talk about restaurants and patios and all that stuff. I know that the Leafs, full capacity, Scotiabank Place. So do you think that restaurants should have full capacity now that we see the Dome and Scotiabank having full capacity?
Well, those venues are outside, at least part of them, some of the time are
Yeah.
outside. And I know there's food and beverage, but restaurants are a little different. They're smaller, they're more confined space. You do pretty much immediately take off your mask. You're sitting closer to people, you're eating, talking, drinking, all of that stuff. So they're a little bit different from a health standpoint. I'm assuming that's why they are still under certain capacity restrictions. I know everyone is itching to get everything opened up. I feel that. I understand that. At the same time, we've seen how disastrous it can be, not only in our own province, but to our neighbors to the west for opening everything too soon. So
Yeah.
I don't mind a bit of a more cautious approach because we never, ever want to go back down into lockdown of any kind. So, hopefully by the time anything is allowed to be opened, it stays open and we're done. So, I'm just going to encourage people to hang on a little bit more. We're close. We're approaching, well, we're over 92% first dose of vaccines in Ontario. The Halton region is closing in on that. They're about 89, 90 right now, first dose, roughly 86 second. And that's the game changer, right? But the other health measures are still needed, including masks and including where appropriate physical distancing. So we've kept our numbers down. Things are really good. The fourth wave really was more of a ripple than a wave, thank goodness. Let's keep it that way.
Awesome. You brought up a good segue in regards to vaccinations. I believe it's 83 double vaxxed in Halton region. Is that correct? Or
Actually, around there. Yeah.
Okay. How do we get to the last 17% or 7?
Get your vaccination, people. So we saw a spike after the vaccine policy mandate went in across the province. And then, of course, municipalities were required to implement that. I support it, but it is a provincial policy. Some municipalities took a stronger approach than we did, where there's zero accommodation. You are vaccinated or you don't come into any facility and you don't have a job there anymore. We've taken a testing accommodation approach. And so far, there's been no outbreaks anywhere in Halton region. So we'll keep monitoring that. But there was an uptick as soon as vaccines became mandatory for people or a test. And the city will only provide that test for a transition period, roughly the middle of November. It's on your dime and your time to produce a test if you're not vaccinated. So that has helped. And I'm just hoping, really, we were hoping to be there now, but by the time that people have to start shelling out for a test to come into the workplace or facilities, they may choose to do the right thing and get vaccinated. And we have seen from the recent human rights ruling that personal preference not to get vaccinated is not a protected ground.
Sure.
There's no human rights violations going on here. This is a public health issue. This is no different than when we were all kids in school and even before us, where you had to be vaccinated to come into a school building. Being in a public place comes with certain duties and responsibilities to each other, and this is now one of them.
True. Mayor, I just realized your dog's behind you there. It's the first time I've ever seen your dog.
Oh, is he?
He's just chilling there. He's just watching the interview.
That's awesome. Oh, there he is. Yeah, right over my shoulder. He's over my shoulder. I picked a new vantage point for you because I like the lighting in here a little better. So
yeah, I like the dog in the background watching the interview. I think that's all. Sorry, the dog's name is?
Boston.
The Boston watching. You're here. He's so quiet
Boston,
too.
no video. Well, he's quiet right now. If somebody approaches the door here, I'm sitting right in my front room. So if we get a delivery or the mail arrives, look out.
No, he's turned away. He's bored now. Okay. So let's go back to restaurants. You've obviously talked to restaurants because I'm sure you hear everything. How are they doing?
For the most part, they're doing well, actually. There's been very few reported incidents of any taking it out on the server who's just trying to seat you, asking for your vaccination policy. I've been out to a few. I still sit outside when I can. I love being outside, and the weather has been so awesome for that. But when I've gone inside, they've asked for my proof of vaccination. And I was actually at a recent fundraising event, the first fundraiser, sit down dinner that I'd been at in probably close to 2 years. And everybody in the building, to get in, you had to be vaccinated. And so I had to, show my proof like everybody else. And so I think we all felt more comfortable being there. And even though the capacity was reduced, this was an annual event that I used to go to, the Elvis and Friends fundraiser for the Compassion Society. So a whole bunch of people singing Elvis all night, which is really fun. Like it was it was really fun. We had a great time. And, Elvis is before my time, but we all know the music, right? And we all remember where we were or what was happening in our lives the first time we heard a particular song. So it was just a great romp down memory lane. Everyone was in such a good mood because we're all out and we get to put on shoes and pants and skirts and dress up a little bit. So the capacity was less than what had been there in previous years, but it was still very full. And I think without, with people taking off their mask to eat and being still in fairly close proximity in a big hall, you're inside, I think every one of us felt comfortable with the precautions that were taken, including the vaccination proof, which is a legal requirement. But nevertheless, I think everyone, really could let their hair down, so to speak, and have a good time knowing that those precautions were in place.
That's awesome. And last week you had the mayor's kind of gathering. How did that go?
The key to the city?
Was it key to the city? You had the mayor Bonnie and stuff over?
Sorry, what?
You had the mayor of Mississauga. Was it last week or a couple of weeks ago? You had a meeting with them.
Oh, the big city mayor. No, that's tomorrow.
No, that's tomorrow.
The Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus we are hosting the first back to in-person gathering since the pandemic. I volunteered to host, and so we're really looking forward to that. It'll be in one of our newer hotels in Burlington, so it's a great way to showcase the downtown and our waterfront. And we're looking forward to welcoming almost all, I think 25 out of 29, and some of the mayors are in Thunder Bay and places like that. So they may not be obviously able to come down and make the journey, but for those that are within a easier driving radius, we've got great participation. So we've got a full slate of business to conduct tomorrow afternoon. There's a dinner with a special speaker. And then on Friday, I've actually organized a bus tour for the mayors that want to come, as well as my Halton Region colleagues, to look at our 3 GO stations, which are where we're going to accommodate the bulk of future growth. And of course, we have to decide how that's going to be divvied up among the 4 Halton municipalities. So I've got some of my Halton colleagues joining us for that tour as well, so they can kind of check out what it is we're doing. And so a great 2 days that we've got planned, and that will be in person. So we're starting to get back to some of those things, which is great.
That's awesome. So you guys are you're gonna tour, you're gonna give everybody a tour of Burlington to show off how awesome Burlington is. That's what you're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. and we've also got little, nice little swag bags where we've talked to a business in each of the 6 wards, sort of a local icon business, asked them if they would donate something to our swag bags. So all the businesses stepped up for us, which is awesome. So there will be little gifts for all of them to take home. So they'll see what, shop local and our awesome businesses look like here in Burlington. So it's going to be a great event. Really looking forward to it.
Cool. Say hi to Bonnie for me.
I will.
Let's talk about, you brought up the GO stations and the communities that will be built around it. Can you talk more about that, please?
For sure. So we have to accommodate in Halton region. So that's among our 4 municipalities of Halton Hills, Oakville, Milton, and Burlington, of course, 1.1 million residents by 2051. Now that's not new. That's not net new. We're at about 600,000 now. So we got to figure out how to divvy up the balance between the 4 municipalities. And that vote is happening this fall at Halton region. And we know in Burlington, we have no greenfield left. We have no acres of empty, unbuilt space. We've used all of it. We have to accommodate that growth within our built boundary. And we want to protect not only our rural area and our green belt. We have no intention ever of expanding our boundary and building into the green belt. So half of our landmass is rural, so that is protected. We also want to protect our established neighborhoods, and there's quite a few throughout the city of Burlington, and then direct the most growth and the tallest built form to areas that can accommodate that are close to transportation. So regional express rail. So that's the 3 GO lines. But you've also got major roads near the GO stations. You've got the highways right there. So it really makes sense from a transportation management to put most of your population and jobs growth in these areas. But we want it to be more than just housing. We want community centers and community amenities. We want new parks. We want good jobs. So we want, in Appleby, for example, the north side of the GO station will be dedicated to employment uses and industrial, which is currently what is there now. And we want meaningful mixed use. So these are going to be complete new neighborhoods. These are brand new neighborhoods that we're building. And just yesterday, the city released some preliminary plans. We call them area-specific plans, where they really carve up each of the Burlington GO stations into sectors. We call it precincts. And each one will have a little bit of a different character. The ones that are close to the established neighborhoods will transition down. The lowest height will be there. The ones closest to the GO stations, the highest height will be there, as you would expect. And so the height ranges essentially at all 3, and the precinct plan is obviously different for each of the 3, between about 6 to 11 stories closest to the established neighborhoods, up to 30 stories at the closest to the rail lines and on some of the major corridors. So those plans have been released. They are online at getinvolvedburlington.ca. You have to look for we call them the major transit station areas. So look for MTSA. We love our acronyms. But MTSA planning, the MTSA area specific plan. Say that quickly 5 times, but that's what you're looking for.
Nobody's going to remember that. Sorry.
Or as we call it, the MTSA ASP. Okay. Say that fast 50 times. So look those up. Those have just been released yesterday. I will have details, sort of high-level details, in my next Burlington Post column. You're hearing it first here on your show, which is awesome. Great. And actually tonight is the first of 4 public engagement sessions on the MTSAs, and it is Aldershot. So if you want to find out what's happening at Aldershot, you can tune in. If you go to the City of Burlington calendar, search for today's date and city meetings, you'll pull up the Zoom link. We'll post it on my social feeds as well. So that starts at 7 to 9. So there'll be a presentation and overview of what is going on in the precinct and the various regions and the heights and the character of each of those. We did carve out the established neighborhood of Clearview. That was something I fought for pre-election, during the election, and successfully got that boundary changed. So we are protecting established neighborhoods that are close to the MTSAs. The Burlington GO, so don't ask me to quote off the top of my head the meetings. It'll be online at, as I said, at getinvolvedburlington.ca. But there's another one for Burlington, there's one for Appleby, and then the 4th one, which is early November, will be all 4. So if you want to tune into the one that talks about all 4, that would be, or you can go to each of the 3 individual meetings as well. So I'll be at all of those to listen in to what the public questions and comments are.
Awesome. This is a good, you keep on giving me segue into the next question here. We put up a lot of developments on in Halton, in Sauga and stuff like that. And we hear it. We hear it from people like, it's going to take away this, it's going to take away that, my garden won't have sun. You must hear it a lot, right, in regards to new proposals, because obviously there's huge development going on in Burlington. Like, where do these residents, where can they actually officially get their voice heard?
Well, certainly talking to your elected official is one of the best ways, because ultimately we have to make a decision about this. But there's a number of stages of a development application. So I'll just walk you through it and your viewers through it. So the first stage, and this is unique to Burlington, we ask developers before they have even submitted an application to have what's called a pre-application neighborhood meeting. Meet with the community in advance of filing your application. And the purpose for that is to hear from the public right at ground level, right at stage one. And then to take what they've heard and modify their eventual application right at the beginning. So there's an opportunity, there's a requirement to do that. We're one of the few municipalities that fought for that, to get the resident voice in on the ground floor, as it were. And we also require, when they do submit eventually their application, to show what they heard and how they incorporated what they heard into their eventual application. Once there's an application, there's a whole process that unfolds over a number of months. And it starts with a statutory public meeting. It's a very formal meeting at City Council. Virtual right now, of course, but it's an opportunity. There's no decision making, but it's an information opportunity where staff kind of give the high level overview of what is being proposed in the application. Residents can come forward as delegates and tell council what their thoughts, concerns, what they like or don't like about the application, and we get a chance to ask questions. And then staff take all of that and then continue to analyze, review the studies that have come in, and then ultimately make a recommendation to City Council, and then we decide. So in the pre-application phase, residents are asked to direct their feedback to the developer, because we want them to be influenced to change or modify or incorporate what they're hearing from the community into the application. Once an application is filed, the comments go to the planner on the file. And then once there's you can copy council too, because we're always obviously interested in hearing what the community wants to see, but make sure to copy planning staff. And then once there's a recommendation coming forward, that's when you want to obviously communicate, most directly with your elected official, because we will be making a decision. Of course, all of our decisions can be appealed to the Ontario Lands Tribunal. We're not in the final step. We should be. We need to abolish the OLT, but it's with us right now. And then that's a whole other process, which we won't get into. But those are essentially the three stages. So most of what you've seen recently, there's been a flurry of new applications. So there's a lot of pre-application meetings happening, and a lot of that second step statutory public information meeting that is happening right now. And even where staff are making a recommendation, in many cases, they need more time to process the application. So there haven't been a lot of decisions. So there's lots of time in that entire process to connect with both our city staff, directly with the applicant, and of course with your elected officials, to make your voice heard and to suggest changes. And what I find most valuable from the community is, tell me what you want to see here. Tell me what you would change about the application. And that's the most valuable feedback, because typically something eventually at some point will be developed, but you can shape the something. So no development is not an answer. Anything goes is not an answer. We need the community to help us to refine and make the best outcome for the community.
So don't complain on Facebook. All right, got it.
Well, you can, but I may not see it.
Yeah, okay.
But I actually am working, not reading my social feeds diligently. But you can certainly reach out to me at mayor@burlington.ca, and I get all of the comments. And actually, if you have written to the applicant and the planner, when we get that information report, all of the comments that have been submitted are included there, minus your email and minus any, like an address or any identifying details, but your name is there. And for example, there was a recent meeting where development on 1600 Kearns Road, my old neighborhood. It's at the intersection of Kearns and Four Seasons. I used to live on Four Seasons, my first house when we first moved to Burlington. So I know the neighborhood very, very well. There were over 230 pages of resident feedback as part of our appendix package. So we do get all of it. And staff get all of it, and that's the best way to make sure that your voice is recorded and captured and heard, and we receive your concerns. And you can also come and talk to us face-to-face, as a number of delegates did on that particular file.
Or see you in the farmers market.
I'm going to be there on Saturday.
Oh, really? Okay, there you go.
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. Okay. We'll push that out.
I got to try to. I was there Friday last time. No, I'll be there this Saturday. Actually, it's wrapping at the end of October, and I will have my booth set up, the Ask the Mayor booth. And yes, please swing by if you are at the market. I'll be there in the morning.
That's awesome. I got a question here from one of my writers. A zoning amendment on Brant. Can you talk about that? Mm-hmm. Is there a park going there?
Is there a park there?
Yeah, a park going in there?
There is a proposal for a park as part of a comprehensive development. So what is being proposed there, and we just had one of those information statutory meetings a day or Tuesday, yesterday, and one developer has assembled three corners, so the northwest, northeast, southwest, and different proposals for each of those. So parcel A, which is the northwest of Brant and Ghent, is being proposed for a 14 and a 25 story. The northeast of Brant and Ghent is being proposed for a 25 with 11 stories stepping down to a park. And they are proposing a substantial park. It's about an acre, and it would be privately owned public space. So we call them POPs. And so there's a lot of questions about how do we ensure in perpetuity that that remains a park and that those uses are available to the community. It's a great question. We're looking into that. So that was one of the issues that was flagged, to make sure that, maybe we consider turning it into a publicly owned park. There's some complications. There's an underground parking garage there. So what do you do about if we own the grass and they own the substructure? Lawyers can figure all that out. So there's a way to do it, if that's the path to go down. So yes, that is being proposed as part of this. And then the final piece is the south east corner of Brant and Ghent, and that's an 11-story stepping down to. So I'm just noticing there's very strange shadows on my face. Well, here we go. This is my little experiment with the afternoon sun.
No, it just looks like your cheeks are brighter. That's it. It looks good.
Okay. All right. Well,
you'll notice it.
Yeah, so that is at that early stage. There was a pre-consultation meeting held about a year ago that I was at, and then this is how long these things take. So it's been until now. It's been a year before they even filed the formal application, and they did make some changes. For example, the 14-story was originally two 25-story towers. They've knocked it back to 14. So there are a number of changes that they outlined, and all of that information is available on the city website again, if you search the calendar and look at Tuesday's community planning regulation mobility meeting, you will be able to pull up all the supporting documents for it.
Awesome. I love that our interviews are becoming half development, half COVID, and soon enough, it'll just be all development.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Let's talk about Halloween. Is there any guidance from Burlington or Halton Health in regards to Halloween guidance?
Well, we have actually simply adopted what the medical officer of Ontario has put out, and we have shared that. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. That's good, solid medical health advice, and so that is similar to last year, but you can now have gatherings, especially if people are vaccinated, encouraged as much as possible to stay outdoors if you're trick-or-treating. One bit of guidance I thought was interesting was don't sing for your treats. Don't sing or shout.
People do that?
I guess so you don't spit.
Yeah.
I never sang for my treats. I
Yeah, I never
can tell
did.
you that. But it was an interesting thought. And, use hand sanitizer, keep physically distant, individually packaged treats, things of that nature. But definitely enjoy Halloween. It's outside. It is, for the most part, physically distant. A lot of people, there's good distance between you and even the person handing out the candy, so be mindful of that. But it's a great event for families, for kids, and it can be done safely. And that was the encouraging advice from the medical officer of health for Ontario.
Nice. Okay, awesome. They still have those Unicef boxes. Do you remember those Unicef boxes?
I do. I carried those. I turned in the pennies.
Yep.
Nobody has, we don't have a penny anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Do they still have that?
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, my kids are older. They have different kind of Halloween parties now.
Yeah, sure. And let's talk about something food related. Taste of Burlington is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, I guess my writer asked, what's your favorite place to eat in the city? I've asked you this.
That. I have too many favorites.
Okay, well,
Everyone knows I love oysters. So there's.
have you been going out for Taste of Burlington?
I've been going out.
Okay.
But no, I haven't actually sampled any of the menus yet. But it's still early days. So actually, I'm heading out tonight to a restaurant, but it's more for a after work get together. So it won't be a sit down dinner. But it's
have the oysters, right?
If it's oysters, then I'm a happy camper. So yeah, I have my favorite oyster haunts in the city.
Cool.
But yeah, it's actually a great deal. It's a fixed price menu offering. It's usually some very unique local, in many cases, dish that each of the a signature dish that the restaurants put out there. So it's kind of a fun sampler, and it's restaurants across the city. It started sort of more focused on the downtown back in the day, but it's really expanded as restaurants across the city have embraced it. So you can find one in your own neighborhood, but if you want to venture further afield and kind of see what the rest of the city has to offer, there's lots of great stuff to try.
Cool. That's all the questions I have. Is there anything you want to talk about? Can you believe it's been 28 minutes?
I don't know where the time goes.
And Austin took off. He's not there anymore.
Is he not there? Oh.
I don't see him anymore.
No, I don't see him.
So anything else?
I think we've covered it. So, there's lots of, there he is. He heard us talking about him. There's lots of great things happening in the community, and now, in-person events are starting to come back. Charitable events are starting to come back. So there's lots of ways to give back to the community and do it safely. So, check out your local calendar. We post some of this stuff on the City of Burlington website, but there are other community bulletin boards and Facebook pages and websites that would have some of that information. So I encourage people to get involved and enjoy being out and being with people for a change. It's a nice change from what we've dealt with for the last 18 months.
Awesome. And good luck on the Burlington Mayors Conference Summit tomorrow in the tour.
OBCM.
That's it, okay.
Big City Mayors, there you go.
All right, that's it. Good luck with that.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.